In 1919, the Chicago White Sox were making their way to the World Series. And they were playing, who were they playing? They were playing the, sorry, I just blanked. There it is, the Cincinnati Reds. I was going to say the Bengals, not true. They were playing the Reds, and something started to happen in the final games of the World Series where the White Sox started looking terrible. They just started dropping things and hitting and striking out and hitting pop flies that were easy to catch. And people are they're unraveling. What is happening? And they started to call them, calling them the Black Sox. That instead they were a totally different team. That something had shifted in them. Well, they ended up losing the World Series. And in the coming months, it was revealed that a number of players for the White Sox were paid off to lose. To the tune of about, in our day and age, about $1.5 million went into their bank accounts to lose these games. And so if you can imagine all the things that are tied to baseball teams winning, all right? So all of the people who work at the actual game, all of their livelihood started to tank. All the press coverage, the city itself. Did you know when sports teams win championships, it's good for the economy of the hometown? And so Chicago's economy began to suffer. And all these things, so they started asking, they said, what is going on? And it was revealed that they had cheated and that they had been paid off. But the craziest thing about it is that they were convicted, but then magically, all of the court proceedings, all of the papers that said what was going on, all the evidence that they were cheating evaporated into thin air. And you couldn't go back and research anything that was said. And so basically all the players got off. They couldn't play baseball anymore, but they kept the money. And they served no time. What a justice problem. Does anyone else have a justice problem with that? It's like, wait. You were paid you're paid off to lose. Number one, that's bad enough. But then on top of that, the corruption ran so deep that you actually got away with it. There's something inside of us that says that is not just. So to illustrate the idea that I want to get across today, I need 4 volunteers. People who've thought about this and thought, I can handle this, and I do trust Jared. Okay? So let's see here. Okay, all right, I got you. I got you. I got you. Who should I choose, George or Cadence? George, get up here, George. Give it up for my first volunteers, rather. Hop on up here. Go ahead and face your friends there. Now, to get ready, I'm going to give you each $1. Just put that in your pocket. Just put that in your pocket. Put that in your pocket. Come on over here. Yes, sir. Yeah. All right. Just put that in your pocket. Now, let's imagine that I didn't just give them all $1. All right? So here we go. Hey, Maisie, you want to make some money?
Sure.
Okay, great. Well, I've got some investments. All right, I've got some investments. And basically, these investments are this. When you want someone to mail you back in the United States, it's called a self-addressed stamped envelope. But there is no such thing as a self-addressed, yes, that. There's not one of those for international letters, okay? How do you say that? Self-addressed stamped envelope, yes, okay. There's not one of those for international. You know, if you were to mail something to Japan or to India or something. Well, I have found a way that in America, they're actually selling for more money than I can buy them in India. Is that making sense? So I'm buying them cheap in India, And then I'm trucking them to America and selling them to Americans and making a ton of money. So here's my offer to you. If you give me $1 today, I will be able to double your money in the next 3 minutes. Are you interested?
Sure.
Okay, great. I'll take $1. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hi.
Hi.
Self-addressed stamped envelopes.
Yep.
All sorts of stuff. I can double your money in the next 5 minutes.
I'll keep it.
Okay. All right.
Okay, here you go.
I could double your money in the next 5. Thank you very much. See what a salesman I am? You think you have to persuade people. You just boss them. It's amazing. Here we go. Bro, I can double your money in the next 3 minutes. You in? It's a great investment.
All right.
Great. Oh, I think my 3 minutes is up. All right, there's your 2. Look at that.
Wow.
I doubled your money. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Would you like to reinvest? I mean, I just doubled your money. Do you want to reinvest?
I think I have to.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. Would you like to reinvest?
Sure.
I doubled your money. Did I double your money?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, why not?
I would like you to tell him that it actually works because I just doubled your money.
It actually works.
Okay, great. Hey, bro, I got some self-addressed. You want to invest?
Sure.
Oh, man, amazing. I could double. Oh, here we are again. It's been 3 minutes. I doubled your money. I'll pocket this right here. Do you understand? So this can go on forever if there's just another person at the end of the line. So I've actually made no money. But as long as there's a new person at the end of the line, then everyone is actually getting money until what? Until the bottom drops out. Until there's no one on the end. And so her word of mouth is steam in the engine. His word of mouth, steam in the engine. The fact that I'm actually paying the people at the beginning of this thing, they're actually reinvesting their money. So I go and I hand them money, and then they hand it right back to me. Isn't that crazy? They're the only ones who's made anything yet. And all the while, I'm putting a few bucks in my pocket as we go. This, my friends, is what we call a Ponzi scheme. Give it up for these guys. Give them my money back. All right. Give it up for them. Good job. Good job. That, my friends, is called a Ponzi scheme. That's also called arbitrage. Anytime you can buy something cheaper, then you can sell it in 2 different markets, okay? And so Charles Ponzi literally did this in about 100 and something years ago. To the tune of, he was making, and remember, this is the early 1900s. He was making over $1 million a day. $1 million a day in that day. And the whole scheme was renamed Ponzi. Now, people had done things like this before him, but it was so gloriously huge that they renamed it a Ponzi scheme. All right? And so it's this idea that these lies will keep people happy for a while, but ultimately these lies will come to an end, and the whole thing will crumble. All right, so that's what a Ponzi scheme is. Now, last week I said something that a number of people commented to me about, and it was this line: lying harms your soul. Some of you guys might remember me saying that. Lying harms your soul. And we talked about this. We talked about physically. Research shows that headaches, hypertension, just muscle tension, shortness of breath, diagnoses of cancer, all these things over time, if you build your life on lies, it's actually bad for your physical body, all right? It's actually bad for your soul to try and live according to untruths, all right? And so what they would call a Ponzi scheme is also called robbing Peter to pay Paul. All right? So today I want to dive into a little bit of the idea that lying will harm your soul. But I hope to convince you today that actually the truth makes your soul flourish. That's my main idea today. I want to show you a few ways that you probably already know, but need to be reminded of today, that the truth causes your soul to flourish. That without truth, you might think that you can live in a middle ground, not really lies and not really truth. You can't. The world is much more black and white than that in this regard. That truth and lies are what we build our lives upon. So I hope to convince you today that and inspire you today that truth will actually make your soul flourish. So in order to do this, I want to turn to John 8. So go ahead and open your Bibles to John 8. That's right. John 8. And we've got Jesus here speaking to his disciples, okay? And he starts to lay out some of these ideas. And then I'm going to run back to a prophet in the Old Testament in this moment when he begins to rebuild the inner kind of society of the people of God. And so I want to show you these things today and then flesh them out just a little bit. Who's on board? Anyone else on board? All right, I'm not gonna, you have to be on board. I'm not gonna do that. That was just for the thing here. All right. I won't be pushy. Here we go. John 8. To the Jews who had believed him, Jesus said, if you hold to my teachings, then you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you what? Free. That means without the truth, you're in bondage. That means without the truth, you are trapped. Skipping ahead, Jesus said to them, if God were your father, then you would love me, for I came from God, and now I'm here. I've not come on my own, but he sent me. Watch this. This is amazing. Why is my, what's that next word? Language. Why is my language not clear to you? That's a funny way to say it, isn't it? Wouldn't you say, why aren't my words clear to you? Does anyone else find it strange that he said language? Sounds strange. Why is my language not clear to you? Because you are unable to hear what I say. Oh, because language needs translation? Okay, I'm starting to get this. So you belong to your father. What's he say? Jesus is not real polite sometimes, in case you haven't noticed. You belong to your father, the devil. And you want to carry out his desires. He was a murderer from the beginning. He was a murderer from the beginning. He was a murderer from the beginning. I'm going to come back to that. Not holding to the what? Okay. If you want your soul to flourish, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. If you build your life upon the lies of the enemy, you are not holding to the truth, and there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native, what's that next word? Language. The language of God, not just the words of God, the very language of God is truth. The whole system of communication that God has with his people and with even those that do not follow him is always based on the truth. He cannot speak lies because he doesn't have words for lies because he's not a liar. Is anyone else grateful that God's not a liar? Some of us have thought at times, and maybe in the future we'll think, he lied to me. I'm here to tell you that after a number of years following Jesus, 20 years, and just being around people who followed Jesus, oftentimes your short-sightedness will convince you that he's lied. But in the end, you will see the greatness and the magnificence of God, and you will go, he is a truth teller. Anyone thought at one time he didn't know what he was talking about, only to find out he actually did? Yeah. So the very language of God, is truth. The very language of the enemy is lies. For he's a liar and the father of lies. Yet because I tell the truth, you don't believe me. Can any of you prove me guilty of sin? That's quite a question that Jesus asked his disciples who walk with him every single day. Is anyone else doing that with your friends? Hey, is there anyone here who's got any examples of me sinning? You're like, no, not unless you're a glutton for punishment, right? But Jesus, even to the people who are around him. Now, a lot of skeptics will say this, hey, no one who lived with Jesus ever thought Jesus was perfect. That was something that was brought about kind of as fables kind of unfold. But I'm here to tell you that numerous times, this one included, Jesus himself says, I am without sin, and he opens it up for conversation. This gives you truth. This gives you confidence that Jesus is who he says he is, and that this isn't just made up over time. Can any of you prove me guilty of sin? If I am telling the truth, why don't you believe me? He who belongs to God hears what God says. The reason you do not hear is that you do not what? Belong to God. The language of the enemy is lies, and he is a murderer. Now, what is the greatest cost? Steve, you remember we talked about this a few months ago. The greatest cost of murder. The greatest cost of murder is that you have murdered all the possibility that that person could have done if they stayed alive. When you murder someone, every business they were going to start will never be started. Every child they were going to raise, they cannot raise. Every act of kindness that person was going to do, when you murder them, you cut it off. Is this making sense to anybody? So watch this. Lying is the murdering of truth. Every beautiful thing that the truth was supposed to bring about, every beautiful thing that the truth, every bit of justice that the truth was supposed to carry out is murdered when you lie. Every relationship that is supposed to grow from trust, that relationship is murdered on the altar of lying. Do you see the correlation between lying and murder? Lying is murder of possibility, of trust, of fidelity, of so much. I'll get into that in just a second. In the book of Zechariah, the prophet here is talking to a people that God has been against. Did you know that God is against people who love him from time to time? It kind of feels like semantics a little bit, where you're like, no, he always loves you. It's like, yeah. But he's not always polite and acting warm towards you. Kind of like a good parent. There's not a risk that this relationship is going to go away. There's not a risk that I'm pulling away from you, but there is a noticed difference in the room when a parent is disappointed. Am I right or am I wrong? The people of God have been through this season where God has been disappointed with them. Does God fight for you? Not when you are not fighting for God. Let me spell it out this way. God does not inspire my plans to rob banks. Lord, I just need your wisdom. Who to whack first? Nope. Do you see? The people of God were about their own business. They wanted to do whatever they wanted to do. They wanted to mistreat people. They wanted to disobey all of his laws. They wanted to just do whatever selfish thing was inside of their hearts. They wanted to do that. And the God of the universe was like, I am sorry. I can't rubber stamp that. Aren't you? Hey, this might make sense today. Aren't you glad that God doesn't rubber stamp all the nonsense that people who say they follow him invite him to rubber stamp? Let me say it this way. Some people grab the Christian uniform without ever actually being on the team. And for some reason, they get on the news. Am I right? This is actually the truth. I know you guys got masks on, but a little bit more would be helpful today. There are people all throughout history, whether it's the Inquisition, whether it's the Holy Wars, who fly a Christian flag, who themselves do not follow Jesus. He does not rubber stamp my idiocy. He does not say, well, Jared's a preacher, therefore everything he does is right. God says, sorry, not interested. This is the state of his people in the place in Zechariah. Check this out. Starting in 8. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Once again, he's painting a picture of just how things are going to change. His wrath has been satisfied. He's bringing a new day. Their hearts have shifted to where actually they want to start doing things God's way. And he goes, oh, it's about to get beautiful. Check this out. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Once again, men and women of ripe old age will sit in the streets of Jerusalem, each with a cane in hand because of his age. And the city streets will be filled with boys and girls playing there. Can you imagine a prophet coming and telling you this when you have been living in war-torn Syria? No one wants to be on the street. Kids can't play in the street. It's full of glass and bombings. This is the state. And God starts to show them, hey, something's about to change. You're about to be outside. And listen, there's going to be such peace around you that people are going to have the privilege of growing old. And not only that, but there's going to be kids playing. He's starting to paint this wonderful picture of what this is going to be like. And he says this, the seed will grow well. Well, this is important, food. The seed will grow well, and the vine will yield its fruit, and the ground will produce crops, and the heavens will drop their dew. And I will give all these things as an inheritance to the remnant of my people. Can you imagine that they're getting excited? They're like, yes. It's kind of like if your favorite football team, after years of not even getting through round 1 of the playoffs, and you have to preach till like 2 hours before it starts. Can you imagine the people of God? They're just like, what? We're going to be in the streets. This is going to be incredible. Here's the baseline of how this is going to happen. Who wants to hear it? Say, I want to hear it, preacher. Thank you. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Just as I had determined to bring disaster upon you and showed no pity when your fathers angered me. Next time you cozy up to God, remember stuff like this. He's a good God, but he's not always cooperative. So now I have determined to do good again to Jerusalem and to Judah. Do not be afraid. These are the things you're going to do. Hey, it's going to be beautiful. In the streets, it's going to be amazing. You're going to have food and do, and it's going to be awesome. These are the things that you're going to do that is going to maintain this culture of hope, this culture of freedom, this culture of beauty. What are you going to do? Serve yourself. Do whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do, just do it. No, that's not what he says. He says this. Here's what you're going to do. Speak the truth to each other. You ever had someone finally fess up? Did you eat the cookie? Did you eat the cookie? No, no, no. Did you eat? No, no. You literally have cookie on your lips, child. Yes. And even though that's a silly example, there's a relief that comes when the truth finally comes out. Am I right? It's going to be a beautiful thing, people of God. It's going to be amazing. Things are going to grow. You're going to be healthy. It's going to be incredible. And the way in which this is going to be maintained is speak the truth to one another. Render true and sound judgment in your courts. I believe that our nation, over the last year, that there's a new yearning. There's a refreshed yearning for the truth. Someone just tell me the truth. Because your truth is someone else's conspiracy theory. And vice versa. And you're like, I'm just trying to be sensible. There are corners of the internet that tell lies. If you didn't know it, you'll find one. Our nation is yearning for truth. Just tell us the truth. We can make great decisions if we just knew the truth. You're going to tell each other the truth, and you're going to render true and sound judgment in your courts. It's biblical. It's biblical and God honoring to want truth in our courts. Justice. Oh. Render true judgment in our courts. Do not plot evil against your neighbor, and do not love to swear falsely. Do not love to swear falsely. I hate all of this. Is that clear? I don't know about you guys. This seems pretty clear. God's like, listen, if your foundation is truth, you will live in an incredible, God-honoring culture. Is there anyone here who wants to live in an ever-increasing, godly reality of truth and fairness and justice and freedom and liberty? Think about the times when you have said, I knew it. Think about the times like someone goes, so, we're expecting. And you're like, I knew it. I knew enough not to say anything, but I knew it. Women say, you just have a glow. I'm like, that's probably not true. They started having a gut. You were just scared to say it until you knew that they were pregnant. Right? Before you know, I think that, okay, I'm getting from Jeff, all right? Move on to the next example. When someone is caught mistreating others, have you ever thought, I knew it. I knew someone was skimming money off the top. I just knew it. Or how about this one? Your favorite football team enters the fourth quarter down by 21. And your knight in shining red armor comes out and throws some whack throws. And you storm Mass Street. You say, I knew it. No, you didn't. But there is something about finally having the truth revealed where you go, yes, I knew it. There's a relief of tension. There's a new confidence. When the truth comes out, there's a new confidence that man, yeah, I knew something was funny. I knew something was off. There's a new confidence that comes. The baseline is restored. So you might write this down. Truth causes your soul to expand. Doesn't it? When you're like, I finally heard the truth. This is amazing. I can make decisions. Oh, the truth. I just heard the truth from God's word. Now I can live according to it. My heart expands. Oh, I just worshiped the King and I just said, God, it's right and makes perfect sense for me to bow down to you. My soul expands. Lying harms your soul. Truth expands your soul. I don't have time to really get into this like I wanted to, but people smarter than me have said that your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. It's what makes you you. And the idea that truth causes your mind to expand, causes your will to expand, causes your emotions to expand. Think about how beautiful that is. Where you go, man, I can dive into intellectual waters if I know that what they're telling me is true. Now I'm going to start thinking about this. It opens up my mind. When I know that the very language of God is truth and he tells me something, I can open my mind to the possibility of following it because I trust that he knows what he's talking about. It's his very language. My will, possibilities of truth. When someone comes and says, hey, self-addressed stamped envelopes and, this and that, and I can double your money in the next 3 minutes. There's a shrinking of your will. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if I can invest in that. I don't know if that's a smart idea. Do you understand the discomfort of trying to lead through a landmine of lies? But instead, when you know someone, and they're not just proving a point on the church stage, but you know someone, and you've seen their life, and you know they're not going to, case in point, just in the last few months, I made a phone call to one of my good friends, and I said, hey, man, I'm trying to do a deal real quick, and I'm trying to work some stuff out. Could I borrow $55,000 for a few weeks? And my friend said, yep, sounds great. Try and get $55,000 from your bank and see if it moves that quickly. Why? Because we trust one another. He trusts me, and I trust him. We've lived together long enough to know that we wouldn't cheat each other. It expands my possibilities. I wonder if the people around you feel like you expand their possibilities because you're a person of truth. Hey, do you want to get together someday? There are some people that I hate booking things with because they bail on me all the time. It's like, I don't want to block that time out. But instead, when we're people of truth and we show up to meetings that we plan, it expands the possibilities of what we're doing. And then our emotions, obviously, that's so easy to see. That truth will expand your emotions. You can get excited about stuff. You can plan things. It's beautiful. You might write this down. I might have to get moving here, running out of time. But you might write this down. Ungratefulness is fake poverty. Ungratefulness is fake poverty. It's kind of a weird way to say it. Ungratefulness is fake. And why would I bring that up when I'm talking about truth? Because the more truth you live in, the smaller you know you are, and the more grateful you are to God and other people's role in your life. Let's say it this way. You are delusional if you think you are a self-made man or woman. Because you've had teachers, and you've had friends, and you've had mentors, and you've had family members, and you've had the benefit of living in a peaceful nation, all these kind of things. So the more true your life, the more rooted in truth your life gets, the more grateful of a person you will be. Because you realize that it really has never been all up to you. It just hasn't. And so if you live in a world of untruth, I'm a self-made man. Listen, that will breed ungratefulness. And I can tell you that that's fake poverty. You say, I don't have enough. Acknowledging a whole bunch of things that you do have. I don't have anybody. Not acknowledging a whole bunch of people that you do have. And so it's a fake poverty. It's a fake poverty. You know, the Ponzi scheme really gives us a picture of what societies look like when they run down the line of untruth. That it's always going to, it also shapes for us what our lives can look like when we live lives based on untruth. It's just going to take, in order for this to keep up, it's just going to take one more lie. Who here has ever told a lie which required you to tell 57 other lies? Anyone? It's a Ponzi scheme. Just like a Ponzi scheme, lives that are whose foundation is untruth is going to hurt everyone in the line. You ever gone back to pay restitution to someone for something you've done, and you're like, man, this affected a lot more people than I thought it would, right? Our lives can be just like that Ponzi scheme. Requires a whole bunch of maintenance to remember your lies. Injures the reputation of good businesses. So when we lie to people, it injures the reputation of people who are actually telling the truth. You ever been a truth teller and people just won't trust you for anything because they've been hurt before? Yeah, makes sense. Truth. Think about the foundation that truth plays in just relational trust. It's huge. Business. The baseline of all business is truth. The baseline of science is truth. The baseline of math is truth. The baseline of grammar, I have no idea. The baseline of peace. The baseline of peace is truth. John 14, Jesus answers the people there, and he says, I am the way and the what? Truth. The way, the truth, and the life. I love how that's all connected. that if I believe that Jesus is the truth, it causes me to live in his ways, and it changes and expands my life. There's no way for me to believe that what Jesus says is true and not experience an expanding life and not experience following his ways. Is that making sense to you? You can't just believe the truth about Jesus. It requires a way and a life. And that's what I'm calling us into, church. That's what I'm reminding us of today, that the truth expands our souls. So how about you? Someone around you needs to be restored by your telling the truth about them. They need to hear it. They need to hear it. Recently, I told someone here on our staff, the bigger staff, I said, you are so good at that. It's not just that you're good at that. You are anointed to do that. I believe that you're called to do that. I think it's more than just something you're good at. It's something that God gets most glory out of your life when you do that. And she has cried. I said, what's going on? She goes, I have tapes of an old pastor who belittled me constantly. What just happened? She was restored by me simply just telling the truth. Who around you needs to hear the truth about who they are? Who around you needs to hear the truth so that they can be restored? There's a world of possibility. There's a world of possibility that's actually trapped behind the bars of lies in each of our hearts. Lies about who you are, lies about how the world works, lies about who God is, lies about who God's church is, lies about what you're capable of. There's a whole world of possibility that's trapped back behind this. To put it bluntly, stop lying. To put it bluntly, don't lie. To put it bluntly, when you lie, apologize quickly without counting the cost. To put it bluntly, don't tell white lies. Don't fudge numbers on your taxes. Because there's no life in it. It's fake life. It's not real life. One study at Michigan State, this will surprise you, only 0.5% of people lied when it didn't benefit them. Does that make sense? But 60% of people lied when it benefited them. Only 40% of people told the truth when it didn't suit them. So I wrote this down so I get it right, and then we're going to close. Trust God to take care of you when it would require a lie to take care of yourself. Trust God to take care of you. He has more resources than you. Trust God to take care of you when it's going to require a lie to take care of yourself. And there's just nothing that can stop the way of Jesus, which his very language is truth. We stand upon the truth. We preach the truth. And we live the truth. So how about us? How about us? How about us? Will we be a people who speak the truth in love? Will we be a people when mayhem breaks out, we think, you know what this situation needs? It just needs a greater foundation of the truth of who God is. I know that you're scared, but God is able. I know that you're downtrodden, but God has been here before. I know that you can't find the peace. I know that you're fighting to be healed. But the truth of God's word is that he is good no matter what happens. Will we fight for that sort of truth telling? Will we be that kind of people?